What's going on, Gym Pros family? Thank you for joining us today on a Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. We're one day away from the NFL draft commencing. Tony, how are we doing today, man?
John, John, this is so it's like when your parents are baking a pie, and you come into the kitchen and you can smell the pie. It's not quite ready to eat. You can't eat it yet. Then they pull it out, put it on the windowsill. It's got to cool. This is that right now. We're so close to the start of football season. This is the start of it.
Yeah, we're just waiting for that pie to cool down. That kind of reminds me. It reminds me of Thanksgiving dinner too, where it's just the food's almost done. You can smell everything, but you just can't dive into it quite yet. But soon enough, we'll be able to. So that's what we're looking forward to. I guess let me start off with a couple basic questions. How are we feeling going into this draft? What are we expecting? What are some thoughts that are traveling through your head right now?
So there's a lot. Listen, there's always a million thoughts traveling through my head. Okay. Some are relevant, some are completely irrelevant. When it comes to the draft, there's a lot that's going on upstairs, a lot that's jostling around right now. Okay. This is obviously a very talented and deep quarterback draft, probably one of the more talented ones that we've seen since 2004. So I'm looking forward to seeing where the quarterback's going to fall. There's about 4 quarterbacks that everyone's super excited to see, but I think there's some quarterbacks in the back half of the draft that could also that can also make an impact. The other position that I think is huge in this year's draft is the defensive line, edge rushers and interior linemen as well. Look to see a lot of those guys. Maybe not taken in the initial first 10, 15 picks, but definitely in the back half of the first round and moving forward in the later rounds. I think what this is really going to boil down to is there's a lot of first-year coaches, guys that are taking over franchises and guys that, have moved from one franchise to another. So, and a lot of young coaches. So I think this draft is going to be very important for the landscape of some of these first-year guys that have taken over programs.
Well said. Comment from Aaron Walker. Walk Sauce. Who will the Lions take? Now, Walk Sauce. Okay.
We're going to get there.
I like your ambition. I love it. I like your ambition. I wish you were more interested in a different team, but listen, love your ambition. We will get to that very soon. So just hold your horses a little bit. We'll get in there. We're excited. There's a lot of picks on the table. There's some controversial, cross picks. Who's going to trade up? Who's going to leave everything be? Because there's already been a lot of shifting going on before the lineup's been made. So a lot of mock drafts have been released, and there's a lot of potential for more to happen. Tony, tell me what you told me before the stream started. When is the deadline for any team to either trade up or down in any point in the draft?
So they can trade up, down, left, right, north, south, whenever they want to, really. As long as there's time left on the ticker for them to make the pick, they can trade it, okay? John and I were talking a little bit, beforehand. The GMs predominantly make those picks. Owner might come in a little late and suggest it. A head coach might come in and suggest it. You'd actually be surprised that there's a lot of head coach pull when it comes to making these picks and what they do. But yeah, the phones are buzzing. I hope they have unlimited data because the phones will not stop ringing come tomorrow evening. So they have up until, if there's a second left on the clock, that's fine. They just have to get the pick in there to say that, they've traded with so-and-so. So there's a lot of jostling that is going to happen that we're not even anticipating. So it's actually going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be electric. And that's the other thing too, is since these teams have the capabilities of doing that, trading up or down or left, right, whatever you want to call it, that really throws a big wrench in a lot of mock drafts, even drafts that are put out today, tomorrow, before the draft takes place officially. It makes it difficult for people to make mock drafts accurately because of those things. So there's a lot of different factors that cannot be prepared for until the timer starts. So I'm looking forward to a similar aesthetic to this draft that we had in the Turkey Bowl draft. I don't know if we'll see it, but we'll see what happens.
No, it's probably not going to look as good. It's probably not going to sound as good. The coaching interviews won't nearly be as good. But listen, the NFL can't be perfect. Okay, the NFL can't be as good as Jin is. We understand that. So if the NFL draft tomorrow is half as good as our Turkey Bowl draft, then I think we're in for a treat.
We'll consider it a success if that's the case. So let's dive right into it. Let's start off at round 1, pick 1. And I'll pull up the picks here on the screen for which teams are picking at what point in the draft as of right now. Now, nothing is set in stone until the ticker starts before that said pick. So first, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars, as everybody knows. This is these first 2 or 3 seem like they're pretty shoe-in picks. Probably won't see a lot of movement from these 3. But who do you got going first?
So at number 1, the first overall draft pick with Urban Meyer, him obviously taking over the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know this pick is coming straight from him. Now, I just want to preface all of this by saying this. Not who I would take. This is who I believe will be taken, okay? So at number 1, Tim Lawrence as the number 1 overall pick. And Urban Meyer is going to set himself up early already with his franchise quarterback. And I think it'll be a pretty good marriage. Trevor Lawrence is a little more athletic than people think. If I were to compare him to a quarterback that we've seen play Bink, I'd compare him really well to Andrew Luck. To me, he's got the size, big, strong kid. He can move better than people think. So if I were to compare him to somebody, I would compare him to Andrew Luck.
Yeah, so Mel Kiper actually has Trevor Lawrence as his 4th highest graded QB prospect behind only John Elway, Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck. So putting him at a pretty high draft caliber, grade, whatever you want to call it. Trevor Lawrence is most likely your guy. He's already been bonding with Urban Meyer off the camera, sometimes on camera, and I think that's going to be a happy marriage. It's kind of a tale of trying to get back to what you originally had and to really retain and gain back some things that you've already had experiences in. So as we know, Trevor Lawrence is a champion. Urban Meyer is a multiple-time champion. So these guys are not used to losing. They're not expecting to go into this entire NFL journey anticipating to lose. They're just not going to do it. It's not in their blood. They've had the taste. They've had the taste of victory. So they're going to look for that again on a different stage, a stage that neither of them are familiar with, which will be very interesting to see how they adapt from the college scene into the NFL scene, which is a very drastic transition, as we have seen in past with multiple past coaches, whether they're going from college to NFL or they're going from NFL back to college. Very different scenario, different atmosphere with every bit of competition that they're faced with. So Trevor Lawrence, we're looking for him to go first round. I'm looking for him too. Let's see. Mama Bink has a comment here. Trevor just got married. He's a newlywed. What will he put first, the game or his new bride? Question mark.
Ooh.
That's a good question. Nobody really thinks about that kind of thing.
Now I'm going to say this. If the newlywed bride and Trevor Lawrence know what's best for them, he better put football first. These two have dated in college. They've been together for a very long time. So I hope she knows what to expect. And Trevor, I'm going to tell you this right now, Trevor, focus on the game of football, because as a rookie, it can go south really, really fast. So I guess my hopes is that he does put the game of football first. I get it's tough in a new marriage and a fresh marriage to do that, but buddy, remember who signs the paychecks and focus on that.
Very well said, Tone. Obviously it's a difficult time to start tying the knot, especially with all this going on. I would have waited, at least wait 6 months, get acclimated with the team, get a couple of press conferences out of the way, sign a couple jerseys. take a couple pictures with fans, do that, and then tie the knot. Throwing this into the loop is just, I think, too much. It might mess with his head a little bit going into training, going into that first game, going into the fall. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't affect him too much, and hopefully his priorities are in order and he's able to allocate his time usefully and be able to, do the right thing and make everybody happy. It's hard to make everybody happy sometimes, but hopefully he'll be able to do that as good as he can. Roe the third definitely agrees, completely agrees.
Big Roe, baby. So Big Roe's a buddy of mine. I believe he still lives down in Georgia. Hopefully he still lives down in Georgia, down in the Atlanta area. Roe, I haven't heard from you in a minute, man. Hope everything's good. Hope the family's good. So keep grinding, man.
Thank you for the comment. Let's get into number 2. So we all know No Guts Gase really blew it, screwed the pooch, call it whatever you want to. They really, it's hard to say that you screwed the pooch when you win a game. But unfortunately, that was the case. So Tony, who do you got going second to the New York Jets?
So again, it's not who I would take, it's who I think they are going to take. All of a sudden, this Zach Wilson kid blew onto the scene this year at BYU. I think he's going to go number 2. To me, it's mind-blowing that this pick isn't Justin Fields. I think he is the second best quarterback in the draft, the second best player in the draft, and it's really a no-brainer that it should be Justin Fields, but I think it's going to be the Zach Wilson kid. I'm not knocking Zach Wilson. I still think he's a first-round caliber. I think too many unknowns. BYU schedule is not nearly as tough as it should be. The one team that they played that was worth a damn was Coastal Carolina, a mid-major, and they beat them. Okay, Coastal Carolina beat them in a thrilling game. And so to me, I don't know. I struggle with taking quarterbacks that don't necessarily have a high level of competition. But I think personally it's going to be Zach Wilson out of BYU.
Yeah, I got Zach Wilson too. And many analysts were talking about how he is very strong in the pocket. He's very mobile. His play action offense is strong. But then you have that competition factor where he might have not seen competition to the highest degree at BYU with his schedule. So that's not an insult. That's not anything against him. That's just kind of it's a casualty of circumstance, which is
right.
It is what it is. You can't really fault him for that, but that will affect him. That will affect him going into the NFL because there's no shortage of competition in the NFL, and there's really no way out. There's no way to get an easy schedule. There's going to be teams that are lower caliber teams in the NFL, but they're still going to compete probably stronger than any team that he's played against while in college. So a lot of stuff to consider. Comment from Uncle John. I say Trevor should play the field and see what Jacksonville has to offer women-wise. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. That's another fault. That's another fault that he tied the knot. Why did he do it so early? Come on.
Absolutely. And it's not a horrible idea. Not a horrible idea. No, this is the love of his life, and this is the woman, then I guess fine, let's go for it. But if there was even a shred of doubt in this kid's mind that he should or shouldn't marry this girl, you gotta wait. So that tells me maybe he knew for sure. Maybe he knew it was a done deal. This is going to be the chick. I don't know. But Uncle John, I'm sure there's a ton of talent down in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I bet there is too. We'll see how he handles all that. It sounds like there's going to be a lot going on inside of Trevor Lawrence's head once he makes that move to Jacksonville, and we'll see how he handles it. Let's move into the third pick. Let's see what we got. San Francisco 49ers from Houston through Miami. So there's been some swappage since the list was originally released. But that's where it stands. San Francisco is at the third spot right now. So, Tony, who do you got going third?
So the San Francisco pick is kind of comical. Okay, ESPN and even the front office and Kyle Shanahan at San Francisco saying we don't know who it's gonna be yet. We still don't know who it's going to be. Yes, you do. You traded, you had the blockbuster trade of the draft to move up to the third spot. You absolutely know who it's going to be. And it's a no-brainer. It's going to be this Mac Jones kid out of Alabama. He's going number 3. He's going to be wearing a San Francisco 49ers jersey. To me, he is the definition of a game manager. To me, if I were to compare him to a guy that played in the NFL, he reminds me of the freshly retired Alex Smith. He's just going to manage the game really well. He's not going to get himself in trouble. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's going to put the ball where it's going to be. And he's a very smart, high IQ type of player. Obviously, playing for a guy like Nick Saban, you have to be. My biggest question is he had 2 first-round draft picks at receiver. He had 2 or 3 first-round draft picks, or at least 1, maybe 2-round draft picks on the offensive line. If you take that kind of talent around, and I'm not saying San Francisco is bad or not talented by any means, because they're a team that with the right guy at quarterback could win the division. But you take those kind of pieces around him, is he going to be able to do the same thing and replicate it in San Francisco? To me, it's a little too early for my liking to take a guy like Mac Jones, but San Francisco, again, must see something that I don't, and I think that's where he's going at number 3.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones is going at number 3 too. There's also been ideas of throwing in there Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. There's been ideas flirted around, but then schedule comes in, then experience comes in, certain factors come in, the intangibles, which are talked about quite a bit on this channel. So I think that the 49ers are going to be looking for that. They're going to be looking for a somewhat of a franchise quarterback or trying to build one. I think they want to do that. And I think Mac Jones has the experience. He has the capability to be able to hold that role. And I think San Francisco, being a mid-tier NFL team, is a great spot for him to land and to essentially build. So he has a little bit of groundwork to do, but he also has a solid foundation to build from. So I like the pick of Mac Jones, and we're looking forward to seeing the 49ers take them, assuming that they're not going to trade down in the draft for any other picks. So let's just see what happens there. But anything can happen, as we heard earlier in the show. Anything can happen before that ticker hits 0 and Roger Goodell is at the podium. So almost started laughing saying Roger Goodell. Let's move on to number 4, Atlanta Falcons. Who are the Atlanta Falcons going to take, Tone?
So to me, this is also kind of a no-brainer, kind of a slam dunk pick. To me, it sounds like Julio Jones might be on the outs. It sounds like cap space wise, they can't afford to sign any rookies, so they might be dumping Julio Jones. So Matt Ryan needs somebody to throw the football to. So I think Kyle Pitts, I don't even want to call Kyle Pitts a tight end. To me, he's a wide receiver with his hand in the dirt at times. I think Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida, is to me overall one of the best prospects in this draft. I think he is a game changer when it comes to this draft. Look at the tight end position, how it's evolved over the years. Guys like Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, and the list, Hunter Henry. I mean, there's a ton of picks or a ton of tight ends, that really changed the game. And this position has really gotten interesting in the NFL. So I think, to me, slam dunk. It's a great pick for them. A guy that can be there 10+ years and break some franchise records, maybe break some of Antonio Gonzalez's records.
Oh, that's a bold take. We'll see what he can do. I think he can do that too. I think he's a very solid hybrid between the wide receiver and tight end position. I think they'll be able to utilize him in various ways, especially with running out of cap space. You don't have to throw this guy a ton of money right out of the gate, and he's going to take that 4th pick. I think he could be a good asset for Atlanta. Could be the difference maker, as we've seen in last season's competition. The Atlanta Falcons lost a lot of nail biters. And those games, those on-the-fence games, are games you have to win. Obviously, if you want to contend for the division, you want to contend for a playoff spot, even a wild card pick, you're going to have to make those things work and win those games in clutch moments. So I'm hoping Kyle Pitts will be able to help the Falcons secure a couple of those wins in those on-the-fence scenarios. So we'll see what he can do. I think they'll take him. I think they will too, especially if they let go of Julio Jones. I don't think they're going to have much of a choice. They're going to have to find somebody to put there to at least bridge the gap between what Julio Jones was capable of doing throughout his tenure at the Falcons. And obviously it's heartbreaking for Julio because I'm sure he made a lot of connections and a lot of friends over in Atlanta. So we'll see how that whole thing transpires. But I think we talked about this on, I think, the Wednesday stream. They need a lot of help in the back office when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons. So we'll see how they do with all that stuff. Let's move on to the number 5 pick, Cincinnati Bengals. Tony, who do we got?
So this is, again, not who I would take, who I think will be selected. Obviously, Joey Burrow goes out there and blows his ACL out in his rookie year. And before that, he was hit, sacked more than any guy in the NFL. So to me, they need help at the offensive line position. But I think the Bengals, again, they're a franchise that's grasping for straws here. I think they're going to take Ja'Marr Chase, wide receiver out of LSU. I think they're going to pair up Joey Burrow with Ja'Marr Chase. They were teammates at LSU. Give him a weapon on the outside. Ja'Marr Chase is it depends who you look at. The top receiver, the second receiver. Again, it depends who you talk to. Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, guys like that. Again, I don't like this pick. I don't like it at all. I think you need to take the best available offensive lineman. But I think they're going to take Ja'Marr Chase out of LSU.
Yeah, I got Ja'Marr Chase too. And obviously, whenever you can reignite and reconvene with somebody that used to be your teammate, it's obviously a match made in heaven, and it's something that's ideal, especially if the stars align. If it works out, it works out. And it's one of those things that you have to make it happen only if the opportunity presents itself. So I think if he's still available, which he is very likely to be available, given the Bengals do not trade down in the draft, I think that he'll still be available. And I think they could fill somebody in that wide receiver position. And I think that's a solid pick for the Bengals. So we're looking forward to that. I believe that they'll take Ja'Marr Chase as well. Let's move on to the Miami Dolphins, which currently hold the 6th spot. Tony, you have an interesting take with this spot with the Miami Dolphins. What is it?
I do. So the first trade, this is the draft within the – God, I got something in my eyeball. First trade in the draft, okay, I have Denver. I have the Broncos trading up in the draft, swapping picks with Miami. Not necessarily sure what else Denver would give them, but just for the sake of keeping it easy, just swapping picks in the first round. And I have them taking Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is their guy. I think that's who they want, who they've evaluated. Obviously, John Elway, is the quarterback whisperer, or so he says he is. And I think they trade up to get Justin Fields. Now, they did just trade for Teddy Bridgewater. They do have Drew Lock, so it's a little bit of a crowded quarterback room right now. But what I think is going to happen is I think you're going to see Drew Lock start to slide. Maybe they trade Drew Lock away. Maybe they get rid of him. And Teddy Bridgewater is your number one guy. And Justin Fields can sit there and just learn for a year. I don't expect Justin Fields to start right away. I don't expect him to be the number one guy unless he has a phenomenal offseason and blows some socks off. But I have the Denver Broncos trading up to the 6th spot and taking Justin Fields.
Very interesting take. I thought that was interesting to see that you're assuming they will trade down in the draft to do that and get different positions. Interesting take. I actually have Jalen Waddle out of Alabama going to the Dolphins, assuming that everything stays the same and nothing really changes. But obviously this guy can do it all. A really big star over in Alabama, really made Nick Saban proud, played with Mac Jones and did what he had to do, along Devontae Smith, and played with him on the lines, and then ran routes with him. So I think that they could utilize somebody in the wide receiver position. And hopefully he can be a target for the quarterback lineup that they already have, given they don't take Justin Fields and do what you said. But obviously anything's a possibility. That's why these mock drafts are really all speculation. It's really exciting to do. It's almost like making a bracket to a certain degree, except there's so many different factors, I think, that go into it because there's so many uncertainties that can come into play at the last minute that really might not present themselves the day before, or even, 6 hours before the draft. So really interesting stuff. I got Jalen Waddle. Let's move on to the Detroit Lions. Walk Sauce, I hope you're still watching us. The Lions currently have the 7th pick. That's object to change. I don't think that they'll really trade down or up in the draft because they really don't have much to gain. They need to get somebody in that lower what's the word, under top 10 in the as far as the first round picks go. If you can get someone sub top 10 in that draft to have the opportunity to pick somebody to really change your franchise and benefit Jared Goff, you're gonna want to do that. So Tony, who do you got the Lions taking?
I got a trade. I have another trade in the draft. Back-to-back trades. Call me Trader Tony. I have the Detroit Lions trading with the New England Patriots. So Detroit would get the 15th pick. New England would get the 7th pick. And I have the New England Patriots drafting Trey Lance, quarterback out of North Dakota State. They need a quarterback. They don't trust Cam Newton. Cam Newton's on a 1-year deal, essentially. Josh McDaniel can sit there with Trey Lance and mold him and teach him and put him in his groove in that first year. And then, boom, the training wheels are off, and you have probably the most athletic and probably the most talented quarterback in the draft. Just not as well-groomed, not as groomed as Trevor, not as groomed as Justin Fields, but a very high ceiling kind of player. This is probably my biggest trade in the draft because I really think, people don't really take Bill Belichick as a risk taker, this and that. I think he's going to do it. He's flipping over a new leaf, and look for them to trade with Detroit and take Trey Lance, number 7 overall.
Yeah, New England definitely could use a quarterback, so I could see them doing that. It'll be a bold move from Belichick and the rest of the higher-ups over there in New England. And they've took it on the nose as of late. Since Brady lost, I feel like New England somewhat took a downhill turn. So they need something to bring them up, get their spirits back where they should be, and hopefully they make the right decision. So I don't have anything changing as far as the trade goes. I'm going right off of I'm not being insight guy. I'm not trying to be a psychic over here. I'm trying to just make the picks as what they stand. And that's no fault to Tony for doing that. He can do whatever he wants with his picks and with the trades. But I have Devontae Smith going to the Lions. I think they need a wide receiver. I think they could utilize him. Give him a target. Give Jared Goff a target. Once they see Jalen Waddle go, if he goes in the 6th, I think that it goes hand in hand that Devontae Smith won't go much later than that. So if you watch Devontae Smith, obviously Heisman winner, big time wide receiver. This guy with his size, I'm really impressed with how he is able to perform on the football field, how he's able to make contact, initiate contact, and take contact from defenders. It's really impressive. And he's he can't weigh more than, 200 pounds. You know what I mean? He's got to be a light guy, but he's full of muscle. He's very strong. He's the hammer, not the nail. So I like Devontae Smith. I think that could be a great pick for the Lions if they decide to choose their pick in the 7th round and not trade down. I think that could be a good pick for them. So we'll see what they do. Hopefully they make the right decision. They need as much in the good side of things to be able to make them perform well and give them the best odds of performing well this coming season, especially with all the new management in their positions with Coach Campbell in there. And we talk about him quite a bit here on the channel. And there's mixed emotions regarding Dan Campbell. So this whole season, it's like they're like cleaning the entire slate. Now they're not completely cleaning the slate with everybody, but they're cleaning house with a lot of players. Players are jumping ship. It's like they're playing musical teams, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a completely different landscape in the NFL this season than we've seen in years past. So we'll see what happens there. Let's go to the 8th pick now. Carolina Panthers currently hold that position. Who do we got going to Carolina, Tom?
So Carolina's kind of a funky situation. They just traded to get Sam Darnold, and Matt Rule has talked about Darnold being his guy, being his franchise guy who he likes. And I think it's good for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold gets a fresh start. He gets a new city, a new town, and a new team to win over. And I think you're really going to see him flourish, because obviously he wasn't going to flourish under No Guts Gase. I mean, no one's going to flourish under those kind of circumstances. So I think it's a good start for a good restart, recharge situation for Sam Darnold. So what you're going to want to do with Sam Darnold is you're going to want to protect him, because since he's been drafted, no one's been sacked more than Sam Darnold. So you're going to want to protect him. You're going to want to get a nice little offensive line, a nice pocket for him to sit in and throw darts. So Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle out of Oregon, that is who I have them taking. To me, he's the best offensive lineman in the draft. And I think I'm not saying he slides to 8. I just think the first 7 teams, need different positions. So I have Sewell going to Carolina.
So this is where I got Justin Fields going. I got him going 8th to the Carolina Panthers, and he will be playing behind Sam Darnold. But since Sam Darnold, this is my take on this entire situation. Since Sam Darnold is so new to Carolina, he's almost walking in there with the same capabilities that Justin Fields would be. So my anticipation would be, I think they'd be playing very closely with each other, not against each other. Be playing very closely together. Maybe even be swapped out for an offensive style change. Just have a different format, have a different scheme of things, maybe spruce it up a little bit. Carolina's been known ever since, the Cam Newton days. They've been known as a very strong quarterback-oriented team. And I think they want to bring a lot of that back. And I think they're seeing that with Sam Darnold, bringing him in, seeing that he needs a fresh start. He needs some more opportunities, and he needs a breath of fresh air, probably more than anybody else did, coming out of the No Guts Gase regime. And from what I hear, No Guts Gase has been reinstated as a janitor for the New York Jets. So props to No Guts Gase. He had his run. He had his taste of the limelight, but now he's back where he belongs. So really happy to hear that. But yeah, Justin Fields out of Ohio State, they showed crazy tenacity in the playoffs against Clemson and defeated Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers, only to lose to Alabama and Mac Jones and Nick Saban. So they showed me a lot of tenacity. I saw a lot of grit within Justin Fields. Whoever gets Justin Fields is a very lucky franchise, because he shows a lot of tenacity. Another small body, can take a hit. He's a hammer, not the nail. I compare him very closely to Devontae Smith, just in different positions. As far as body shape, grit, tenacity, athleticism, very similar athletes when we're looking at these two individuals. So whoever gets either one of those guys is going to be very lucky. But yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, they're already pretty quarterback strong. But I think if they have the opportunity, if Justin Fields is still on the table, it's a possibility that they'll take him, because he's not going to. I can't see Justin Fields making it out of the 10th round or out of the 10th pick, because it's crazy, because a lot of analysts do. They see him going like 15th to the Patriots if they don't move and trade up. I don't see him going post 10th pick. And I think it's going to be amazing if we do see that.
Yeah, I don't think he should go past the 10th pick. I don't think he should go past the 2nd pick. I think he's the second best guy in the draft. That's not even close. But for some reasons, again, what it boils down to is, who do these teams fall in love with? Okay. And some teams fell in love with Zach Wilson. Some teams fell in love with, Trey Lance, excuse me. So it really boils down to who these teams fell in love with. And, we'll just have to wait till tomorrow to see where they go.
And they're almost violating our cardinal rule. And that means betting, or in this case, picking with your heart and not with your head. So make sure that you're doing that. And hopefully these GMs, they'll let emotions get in the way. They're not immune to letting emotions get in the way. They're humans. And that's one of the major flaws within many GMs and coaches in the NFL. And that is seen to be a detriment going down the stretch and going into, future seasons. And we see that quite a bit. And it's crazy how much a certain team, any team, can be affected either positively or negatively following the draft. It's honestly, it's a crazy scenario because you can paint a million different pictures. If this player would have went to this team in this round, how would this team have played in the 2018 season? You can look at it in any way you want to. But that's why you got to be so careful when you're making these picks, because these players will most likely affect the team in a very massive way. So that's something we got to keep an eye on as well. Let's move on to the 9th pick. We're cruising along here. Going to the 15th pick just to end the show here. So we're about just a little past halfway. So I hope you guys, if you stuck with us this long, thank you. Please share the stream and comment and like it. Do whatever you got to do. Show us that you're here. We'll integrate with your comments as we get them. So let's move to the 9th pick. Denver Broncos. Who do you got? Who you got for Denver?
So I actually had the trade with Denver and
That's
Miami.
Right.
So
That's
I have Miami now in the 9th spot. To me, I still think that they're going to hold on to Tua. Tua obviously is their guy for the foreseeable future. And to me, I mean, other than Devontae Parker, Bink, can you name me one wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins?
None of them come to mind.
Exactly. That's a problem. So with the 9th pick, I think Miami takes Jalen Waddle. And in my mock draft, he's still on the board. To me, Jalen Waddle is the most talented receiver in the draft. He's big. He's strong. He can play inside. He can play outside. Route running can be in question at times. But I think obviously route running is one thing in the NFL that you can button up. You can shore that up. Okay. People are comparing Jalen Waddle's speed to Tyreek Hill, but Jalen Waddle's just a little bit bigger than Tyreek Hill. So they get a really, really dynamic wide receiver at number 9. I got Jalen Waddle pairing up with Tua Tagovailoa.
Wow, that was pretty good execution on the pronunciation of that last name. Well done. So yeah, I also have Jalen Waddle going to Miami in the 6th round. I don't think he'll make it much past that, just with his athleticism and his capabilities to perform on the football field. I don't think he'll make it much past that, and it'll be by the grace of God if he makes it to the 9th round. And Miami still has a opportunity to acquire him, along with all the other benefits that they would get by giving up that 6th spot and claiming that 9th spot. So that would definitely be a big win for the Miami Dolphins if they did so get that opportunity. So in mind, I kept everything kosher, kept everything the same. So I have Denver picking 9th, and I have them getting Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. We kind of talked about him a little bit briefly. But basically, I could see them filling that quarterback position and really trying to grow and develop a draft pick into becoming a quarterback that's really a franchise guy. That's really somebody that can be integrated into the team, can make a difference, and can acclimate to what's already going on. So that's what I see happening. Let's move on to number 10. And listen, this is a special part of the draft for Tony. I know it is, as he leaves the room. This is a very special. Oh, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. Okay. So it goes without saying. It goes without saying, right?
With the 10th pick, the most important pick, the only pick that matters. Okay. The Dallas Cowboys gave up 27 touchdown passes last year. Most in the NFL. They had the worst secondary. Half through the year. You might as well just put off the linemen out that secondary. So 10th pick in the NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys are going to go defense. They're going to take Patrick Surtain, cornerback out of Alabama. The number 1 cornerback in the draft is going to be in Dallas, wearing the star, baby, and he's going to be a Pro Bowler by no later than year. He may be Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's that good. And he's going to Dallas, baby. He's going to Dallas.
Wow, so I actually also have Dallas going defense, but I have them taking J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. I think that he could easily benefit and easily mirror what Patrick Surtain II could do. And it's going to be a toss-up between those two. Those two will be going to a franchise within, sub 15th pick. Whoever's looking for a cornerback, whoever's looking to defend the secondary and really, try to limit those passing touchdowns from offensive teams, they're going to get one of these two guys. So whoever they land, it's honestly a blessing. and they need a quarterback or cornerback. Why do they make that sound so similar? It's like
I know it's the worst. I know.
Like name it anything, literally anything else, and we don't have that issue. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to say? Any more anticipations you have?
So
with the re-signing of Dak Prescott, from Jerry making different decisions down in Dallas. Any other major assumptions to come about with this Dallas team this year?
So the big thing with Dallas is they need help on defense. Defensively, Sean White is lead, or Sean White. That's the snowboarder. They don't need Sean White, especially not down in Dallas where there's zero snow. Sean Lee just retired, middle linebacker for the Cowboys for the last 11 seasons. So I was thinking about I went back and forth between Micah Parsons, the linebacker out of Penn State, or between Pat Surtain Jr. So I was really kind of up in the air as to who I was going to take. I think they need more help at the corner spot than they do at the linebacker spot. I think they'll take a linebacker in the second round. But to me, if they can shore up the defense with Dak coming back healthy, CeeDee Lamb, some of the weapons on the outside, hopefully Zeke is 100%. I think this team, now I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to say it right now. This is a playoff football team, boys and girls, men and women, men of the people. That's me. This is a playoff football team. Lock that in. Pat Surtain, 10th overall pick.
So something that's kind of interesting that I should mention based on my pick. Okay, now this is not my mock draft. This is let's see whose mock draft this is. It just says NFL. So this is just basically one that ESPN's put out. Could be Mel Kiper. Could be anybody. Something that's important that should be noted about this pick is Horn has shown the ability to make plays on the ball, which is obvious. His father, Joe, played for Mike McCarthy in New Orleans. His college coach, Will Muschamp, is close with coordinator Dan Quinn. So
I know.
I know you looked at the same article I'm looking at.
There's some
what made you not pick J.C. Horn? What made you not pick that?
Because the reason why I didn't take Horn out of South Carolina is, to me, sometimes he's out there, he looks too damn unathletic. I've seen him in highlights trip over his own feet. And I mean, sometimes he's got roller skates on out there on the football field. It's like, hey, Horn, did you forget you're not at Rollhaven? You're playing on Saturday against Florida? I mean, the guy at times looked unathletic, and to me, Pat Surtain fits the Dallas defense better. Okay, he's a good coverage guy. He can lock up man-to-man, and he can play a little bit of zone, sprinkle a little bit of zone in there. I think he's a good fit. Either way they go, if they take Horn or if they take Pat Surtain, I'm not going to be pissed. I'm not going to be upset. But just for the sake of me hopefully being right once in my life on this live stream, I hope they take Pat Surtain.
I just feel like I just to touch on Surtain a little bit. I feel like that's just a football name. Isn't there another Surtain out there somewhere?
I'm sure there's one out there somewhere. None that jump out and slap me in the face, but I'm sure I've heard that name before.
I gotta Google this. Hold up. I know I've heard of it before. Surtain NFL. So yeah, Patrick Surtain Sr. is a former American NFL or American football cornerback who played 11 seasons in the National Football League. He played for college football for the University of Southern Mississippi, drafted by the Dolphins in the second round of the 1998 NFL Draft, and also played for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Look, it's in his blood. Intercepting the football is in Pat Surtain's blood. He was bred to do this, and he's going to do it with a big old star on the side of his helmet.
Well said. Well said. Got a comment here by Uncle John. Surtain 1A, Horn 1B. I'm happy with either, but the NFL is drunk on Bama players. Therefore, I think Surtain goes first. Yeah, I mean, Surtain's a great pick. Surtain's a great pick. I mean, if he does go first, but see, you could see somebody like you could see the Panthers pick up Surtain, and then the Cowboys have no choice but to pick up J.C. Horn. So we'll see what happens.
So if you look at Horn, so when the Legion of Boom was formed in Seattle, Horn fits that. He's a big, strong guy. I think he's like 6'2", $197. He's a big, strong guy. To me, Surtain. It just looks a little more fluid at the corner spot. But Uncle John's absolutely right. The NFL is absolutely drunk on Bama players. They have been for the last 6 years, which I guess is not a horrible thing. But I think Uncle John makes a good point. The sole reason he may be taken before is just because he played for the Crimson Tide.
Right on. Cody Shock, Jerry gonna blow it.
Cody? I mean, okay. Brad Holmes will probably blow it for Detroit. I mean, okay. I mean, how could Jerry Jones blow this? It's simple. We need a corner. We're going to draft a corner. That easy. Brad Holmes will probably take a quarterback in the 7th spot. So suck on that, Cody.
All right, guys.
Jerry Jones is going to blow it.
Take it easy, guys. This is a kid's show. Okay, this is a kid's show. We don't need this isn't Jerry Springer. We don't need a controversy on. Even though we love controversy, let's save it for another stream. How's that? I didn't know what to say there for a second. Let's move on. Where were we? So we're on the 11th pick. The New York Giants. The New York Giants. Who are they going to pick 11th, Tone?
So believe it or not, Devontae Smith is still available in my mock draft. Okay, he's still available.
No way.
Yes way.
Well, okay, I can believe it in your draft, but once we remove ourselves from La La Land. I feel like we're bring ourselves back to reality, and we know that he's
okay. Listen, you heard it. Now you heard it here first. Probably more than 24 hours. More than 24 hours away from the first pick. You heard it here first, folks. Devontae Smith, number 11, New York Giants pick. They want to add pieces around Daniel Jones. They still think he's the guy. Saquon Barkley is coming off of an ACL injury. His quads are bigger than the table that my laptop sits on right now. They just signed Kenny Golladay. So they just signed a former Lions player. Good riddance. Take it easy, Golladay. So they want to add another piece. Devontae Smith to the Giants, number 11. Lock that in, John.
Oh, man. I don't know. Why do you think that he's not going to go before that?
Because Devontae, so believe it or not, a lot of people are concerned with Devontae Smith's size. He's only $170. He's about 6'1" on a good day. Maybe if he's got high heels on. Okay, so a lot of people are worried about his size. That's just it. And there's not a ton of receivers that need to be taken in the first picks. My Jamar Chase pick, they want to pair him up with Joey Burrow. I bet Joey Burrow's got a lot of influence on that. My second wide receiver goes Jalen Waddle. So let me say this. Let me just go ahead and say this. I think Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith, those two picks could be interchangeable. Either Devontae Smith ends up at 9 in Miami and Jalen Waddle ends up 11 in the Giants, or vice versa. But I think Jalen Waddle has more upside than Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith at 11. Lock that in. New York Giants, the G-men.
Okay. All right. Take it easy. So I got the Giants taking Kwity Paye, defensive end out of Michigan, 272 pounds, 6'4", powerhouse, absolutely brick shit house. Took the words right out of my mouth. So I think that they could add some people on the edge. I think that they can utilize some quarterback pressure on their defense to maybe make them think twice about especially running the ball, but also passing the ball. So I think that the Giants could use someone on the edge. Now, obviously, there's teams that have holes everywhere that are picking very early. So it's going to come down to who are we going to pick first? Where are we going to put our priorities at? Are we going to put them on the defense? Are we going to put them on the wide receiver position? Are we going to put them in the safety? Are we going to put them, in the backfield? Where are we going to put them? Are we going to put them on the line? I mean, listen, there's holes everywhere. And listen, it's going to be very interesting to see where these teams, these franchises prioritize these different picks, because that's going to very much affect how this draft goes. And it's going to affect how other teams pick who they pick and prioritize who they prioritize. So very interesting aspect. Gives you a little bit of a philosophical look into the NFL draft. So something to think about. Let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles, who have the 12th pick. Who do you got going to the scumbags of Philly?
The scumbag Philly. I mean, these scumbag Philly fans, scumbag Philly coaches. I mean, the entire city's ran by a bunch of scumbags. Okay, everyone knows that. So it doesn't surprise me that they're going to draft from a scumbag school like Penn State. I think this is where Micah Parsons ends up. Solid, actually, a very, very athletic and solid football player out of Penn State, middle linebacker, started for him for 3 seasons. To me, like you just said, John, Philly's one of these teams that has holes everywhere. Okay. I mean, they could literally draft just the best available position player and it'd probably benefit them. Right. So, but to me, obviously linebacker being the quarterback of the defense, being the guy out there, I think they want to draft their kind of franchise defensive guy. And I think Parsons is exactly that for them in Philly.
So this is where I have Patrick Surtain the second going. I think they could utilize a player in the cornerback position. And I think that they could utilize some help in the secondary. They let a lot of points go last season, pass-wise. So let's see. And thank you, Cody. Thank you, Cody. This is actually, in collaboration with what I just said. Eagles have the worst DBs in the game, though. Listen, I mean, they have holes everywhere. Mostly defensively. They're going to need to fill those positions definitely in the first round, if not the second and third round too. So we'll see what they wind up doing. Let's move. Let's get rapid fire here. Let's see. LA Chargers, 13th pick. Who do you got?
So the Chargers obviously got their franchise guy in Justin Herbert. I mean, the kid's got an absolute rocket launcher for a right arm. He showed a lot of promise. I think he was Offensive Rookie of the Year, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe he was. So they got their guy. Right? Herbert's their dude. They got to protect him. Okay. So I have Rashawn Slater, offensive lineman out of Northwestern, a senior, an experienced guy. Out of the Big Ten. So he obviously went up against some solid competition, solid interior defensive line competition. So I think Slater to the Chargers, the second best offensive lineman in the draft. Obviously, Sewell is going to, in my opinion, Carolina. I have Slater going to the Chargers.
So anticipating Sewell does not get picked before this, I have Sewell going to the Chargers, obviously to protect Justin Herbert, their franchise guy over in LA. So they're going to have a little bit of the pick of the litter to a certain extent, picking an O lineman in the first round. So whoever you go with, you're not going to be doing your team a disservice. You're going to be helping them out, and your quarterback will thank you. So either one of these guys, I think they'll be in good hands. But definitely I think they'll be looking for an offensive lineman to kind of build that strength within the center of the offense. And really everything revolves around the line. If the line doesn't work, then you're screwed. And that's
right.
A perfect display of, and a lot of accolades to be given to the offensive line for the Patriots when Brady played there. So that helped him win a lot of games. That gave him a lot of time in the pocket. Also, Aaron Rodgers has a hell of a line. So you see the performance players, you see the players that touch the ball, but the unsung heroes are the offensive linemen. Don't ever forget that. Let's move on. 14th pick, Minnesota Vikings. Who do we got?
Minnesota. Okay, Minnesota. Not a whole lot of holes on this team. I just think that their quarterback, unfortunately, who was an MSU alum, our guy, Kirk Cousins, is just not the guy for them anymore. I have them taking Jalen Phillips, defensive end out of Miami. If one thing they did lack, it was a pass rush. It was getting sacks last year. I think they were in the bottom third of the NFL in total sacks. Jalen Phillips is obviously extremely – I mean, you could almost put Jalen Phillips anywhere on the defense, and he would succeed. Jalen Phillips, defensive end out of the U, going 14 to Minnesota. Will Jin be covering the draft live? So Jin, quick story, Jin almost got catnapped last night. We got Jin back. Jin will be giving a hot, fresh take on the draft coming tomorrow evening for sure.
I think he means Jin Pros.
Oh, I thought he meant my cat. Well, that's awkward. I thought he meant my
cat. That is an interesting story, though. Thank God Jin is safe. I remember Tony FaceTiming yesterday, and he's just like, I don't know where Jin is. Like, well, I get home, my door is wide open. I think there's a cat napper on the loose. And
someone tried to kidnap.
that can't happen.
I think it was. You want to know who I think it was?
Who was it?
Dan Dakich. It was Dakich. I bet Dan Dakich tried to steal our mascot last night. I guarantee it.
Wow. Well, thank God Jin has front claws in his one arm that he does have up front.
Right.
Because he had to have fought off any defender that or offender that would have came in.
Right.
So, yeah, Cody meant Jin Pros. So will Jin Pros be covering the draft live? That's a great question. Tony, I think it might be difficult for you to do that.
So I'm all of a sudden heading to Boston tomorrow. So I gotta take a train. I'm actually driving out there to Boston tomorrow. So I don't know if I'll be able to cover the draft live tomorrow. But if Bink is willing and able to, I'm sure he might hop on for 15, 20 minutes just to kind of run through the top 10 with you guys. But unfortunately, I just don't know if I'll be able to make it live for you guys tomorrow.
So it's going to be difficult for me. I'm a little bit tied up tomorrow too, but I will be live tweeting the draft. So follow us live on Twitter. Our Twitter is twitter.com/GinPros. You can find it on our link tree, which is down below, scrolling gracefully across the screen. So check that out. I will do my best to maybe hop in on a quick live stream, talk about a couple of the picks that have already transpired once they happen. So look forward to something like that. There might be some surprises coming tomorrow. So we're really big invested into the draft, as you might have seen already through this show. If you stuck with us the entire way, we still have a couple more picks to go before we let you guys go. Actually, we just have one pick left because I also have Jalen Phillips going to the Vikings defensive end out of Miami. I think you could add a lot of great pizzazz and add a lot of great stuff just entirely to the defense in Minnesota. So we're looking forward to that. And that'd be a great asset to their franchise. So moving on to the last pick, New England Patriots. And correct me if I'm wrong, but did you trade up from this pick?
Yeah, I had a little tradesies going on. So I have the Lions picking at 15 and hopefully getting a few other picks or whatever they're going to get, for trading up with New England. I actually have them taking J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. Could you name me one of Lions' defensive backs right now?
I really don't follow the Lions at all.
Yeah,
so I can barely name you Jared Goff.
I don't even think Cody Schock could tell us one of the starting corners for the Lions. So
all right, Cody, you got 10 seconds. You can give me a lineman. Give me a lineman. It's a little quiz.
Starting cornerback for the Lions.
5.
He's not going to be able to do it.
7, 8, 9, 10. Can't do it. He sent me a box. Box. That's a good try.
Okay.
It's a good try.
I mean, if that's who their starting corner is, then I think they should probably draft. Oh, Okudah. Yeah. Well, okay. I forgot they had Okudah. I completely forgot about Jeff Okudah, their third pick last year in the draft.
I'll let it slide, Cody. I'll let it slide.
That's on me, Cody, for completely forgot about Okudah because he was hurt half the year. Anyways, I think to me, Amari, Rihanna, whoever you listed, the other two guys, never heard of them. Okay, you got to get big at the corner. I think J.C. Horn, Dan Campbell's a big, strong, tough guy. I think he's going to want a big, strong, tough guy at corner as well.
Yeah. So I actually have Micah Parsons going from Penn State, the linebacker. I have him going to the New England Patriots. And we'll see if they decide to go interior defensively, if they go exterior. It's going to be interesting. I think it's really interesting, too, to know how many different picks we had tonight, just comparative to, each other. So I think that's something that's important to note. And we could very easily be wrong in a lot of ways come tomorrow night. So that's the beauty of the draft. That's the beauty of mock drafts being created. And it's just so much fun to get involved and get immersed into it. And a couple more comments from Cody. Better be Vera Tucker if they trade back. Need to keep Goff and Swift healthy.
I mean, okay. I mean, to me, it's such a revolving door in Detroit. It just doesn't matter. Yeah, I guess keep Goff healthy. Yeah, I guess keep DeAndre Swift healthy. But to me, there's just so many holes. I mean, where do you start with Detroit? To me, defensively is where I would want to start. To me, if Okudah guy, if he's the real deal, and you draft another guy, you have knockdown corners on the outside. But I mean, they could really go anywhere with. I mean, they could draft a damn quarterback for all I know. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, really, I don't care though. I don't care what they do.
Big comment.
The Kentucky Derby.
The Kentucky Derby. So we're gonna have to recruit some big guns for this. So one of the people that we deal with on a daily basis, he's actually been my partner for the Corona Cup 3.0, Michael Pfeiffer, will have to hop on a show. He's a big horse guy, horse gambler, degenerate, POS, whatever you want to call him. Huge into horse betting, horse racing. So listen, he's going to have to hop on the show. He'll have an insight. He gets all the sheets printed out where he can read, different past performances from certain horses that are performing in the Kentucky Derby or pretty much whatever race you want. And he's very involved and inclined in sports. Not sports per se, but more or less horse betting. I don't know. Would you call horse racing sports?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you can gamble on it, to me, it's a sport. Now, and here's the thing. I remember when I was 18 years young, okay, little young beeper, okay, and Pfeiffer was dragging me to the Swartz Creek horse track. And I remember being in there as two 18-year-old kids, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, not knowing what the heck's going on. And Pfeiffer's out here slapping bets left and right on these horses. We're the youngest guys in here by 30 years, Big. There's enough cigarette smoke in the entire place to give you a nicotine buzz. So I've been going to the track with Pfeiffer since we were, 18's legal, so it was legal we were doing. But let me tell you, it was people get into that shit.
Damn, I wish that place was still open. I'd go in there. Do they serve alcohol in there?
Yeah, they did. They had a full bar. I mean, it was badass. And
that'd be a dangerous place for me to be after I turned 21.
It was loaded with people when we were in there.
Wow. Incredible stuff. So yeah, Uncle John, look forward to upcoming stream. Is that this Saturday? When is this?
I think it's on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it is. It's May 1st. So look forward to maybe a surprise stream, maybe some, videos, some Instagram posts regarding the Kentucky Derby projections coming to you from Gin Pros, official Gin Pros Insight. I might have to do my homework on it too, just to figure out what the hell's going on, because that's obviously the biggest horse race that gets publicized. Everybody knows about the Kentucky Derby. But what people don't know is horse races happen every single day at the same track, Churchill Downs, where the Kentucky Derby is being held and has been held for over 100 years. There's races there every single day. So degenerate bettors have the opportunity to bet on horses, and you can hit very big. If you pick like 3 races in a row, do a pick 3, or do like a 2-horse exacta where you get 2 horses. Either one of them can come first or second, but they both have to come first or second in that race. You throw a bet down, there's a crazy multiplier that gets added. So that's a big opportunity to make some coin. But at the same time, where does it get boiled down to luck?
I mean, listen, whatever you want to call it. I don't know anything about horse gambling or horse racing, but I'm going to tell you this right now. If anyone's going to correctly predict the 2021 Kentucky Derby, it's going to be us. We're going to do our homework. We're going to do the legwork to show you guys that we know what we're talking about. And listen, I'll put out there a perfecta, trifecta, whatever you want to call it. I'll put one out there. And Bink, we may be millionaires after this weekend. Who knows?
We might own a horse at the end of the weekend. So look forward to that. One more thing that I got before we do closing remarks. Gin Gaming is still live. We're still blasting on all cylinders. It's honestly, it's crazy. So Team Yonan and AP3 actually went live on a co-stream today playing a quad in Warzone. So that is on our page on Facebook. Navigate to that one if you want to check that out. Gin Gaming has really been excelling and performing well lately. So give everybody that streams for us all the love you can. Share all their streams, check them out, and comment, integrate yourselves within their streams too. And you'd make us proud doing that, and you're doing us a service to do that. So thank you guys for all of your support, and we're looking forward to it continued on into the future. So I'll leave it at that. Tone, you got any closing remarks?
Nope, nothing to end on. Hope everyone has a fantastic day tomorrow. I'm gonna be a little MIA tomorrow. I'm gonna be driving to Boston. Might catch a Red Sox game. I don't know what I'm gonna do out there. Remember, guys, always moderation will forever be cowards. Life is way too short to bet the under. Always take the over. Heart always. Whoa. Hold on. I messed that up. Never bet with your heart. Always bet with your head. And always remember, please bet with Jen.
Well said. Thank you guys for tuning in to the NFL Draft 2021 preview presented by Gin Pros. Listen, we're excited. Watch it. Look for the live tweets. Look for the live posts. Might hop in on a surprise live stream tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen yet. So be ready for anything, just like we are going into the NFL draft. And stay positive. We'll see what happens. And always bet with Gin. We'll see you guys.